बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम अस्सलाम वालेकुम। कैसे हैं आप? दिस इज लेक्चर नंबर 22. लेट्स स्टार्ट. So first we take a review of last lecture. In last lecture we discussed what is a continuous random variable. In particular we discussed its definition and the probability density functions and properties of a continuous random variable. And then in the last lecture we discussed some of the problems which are related to continuous random variables and its probability density function. And then we have also discussed in our previous lecture the concept of mathematical expectation of a random variable and the related examples. Let us discuss the objectives of the current lecture. In the current lecture we will discuss law of large number, and then we will discuss probability distribution of a discrete random variable, and in particular we will discuss the binomial distribution, and we will also solve some related examples related to binomial distribution. So let's start. So law of large number. So law of large number states that when the number of trials increases, the observed probability approaches to the true probability, which is also called the theoretical probability. In order to explain this law, let us consider the coin tossing example. So suppose you have a coin in your hand and the coin is a fair coin. So if the coin is fair, then we can say that the probability of head is 50% and the probability of tail is also 50%. So if the coin is fair, then it means the probability of occurrence of head and the occurrence of tail, both probabilities are equal and they are equal to 50%. So these calculations are in the experimenter's mind, in the researcher's mind, before throwing the coin. So before throwing the coin, if the coin is fair, then one would expect that the probability of head to be 50% and the probability of tail to be 50% as well. But what happens when we actually throw a coin? So when we actually throw a coin, suppose we throw a coin let's say 10 times. So as far as the actual calculations in the researcher's mind they are concerned, so if we throw a coin 5 times, then one should see 5 heads and 5 times tail, so if the coin is fair. But what happens in real life, that when we throw a coin, then when we throw a coin 10 times, then out of 10 it may be the case that 6 times head occurs and 4 times tails occurs. So it means 6 out of 10 head is the probability of head, which is 60%, which is different from 50%, which should be the probability of head in case of a fair coin. And similarly in this case there are 4 tails in 10 throws of a coin, so probability of tail is 4 out of 10, which is 40%, which is also different from the 50%, which should be the probability of a tail. So similarly, instead of getting 6 heads, one may get 7 heads. Then in that case the probability of head will be 70% and the probability of tail will be remaining 30% probability. And similarly one may get 8 head. In that case the probability of head will be 80%. So and one may get 2 heads or 3 heads, 4 heads. So when we toss a coin 10 times, so the probability of head that can vary and it will be different from the actual probability which is in researcher's mind, and that is equal to 50% if the coin is a fair coin. Now the question arises here that why is this there difference between the two probabilities, that the calculations in the researcher mind, according to those calculations the probability of head should be 50% and the probability of tail should also be 50%. But if we actually throw the coin, then what happens, that probability of head or the probability of tail, it varies from 50%. It is different from 50%. It can be 40%, 30%, 70, 80%, or maybe in some cases we may see 9 heads out of in 10 tosses. So it means in actual throws, actual throwing of a coin, the probability of head, it is different from 50%. And there may be a case that we may get 5 heads when we toss a coin 10 times. In that case, probability of head will be 50%, which is the same as the calculations in the researcher's or experimenter's mind. So question arises, why is there difference between the two probabilities? So the answer is that actually we are comparing two different things. First are the calculations which are in researcher's mind before the actual throw of a coin. So before throwing the coin, a researcher thinks that if the coin is fair, then the probability of head is 50% and the probability of tail is also 50%. So this is one scenario. Before throwing the coin, so we say that before throwing the coin, the probabilities of a head, which are actually the calculations in researcher's mind, they are called the theoretical probabilities or the true probabilities. So theoretical probability or true probability, when a coin is fair, so probability of head, true probability of head or true theoretical probability of head is 0.5 or 50%. And similarly, theoretical or true probability of head of a tail is also 50%. And when we actually throw the coin, say 10 times, so then the number of times head appear divided by total number of times the coin is tossed, that probability is called the observed probability, which we actually observe by throwing the coin. And this observed probability is also called the empirical probability. So when we throw a coin 10 times and out of 10 we get 6 heads, so in that case we will say that the observed or the empirical probability of getting an head is 6 out of 10 or 60%. So this is also called observed or empirical probability. So note that this observed probability is different from the true probability, which is 50%. So this is the scenario. So we are actually we have the two probabilities. One is the theoretical probability, which is also called true probability, and the second is the observed or the empirical probability, which is calculated by actually carrying out the experiment. So now the law of large numbers states that when we throw a coin a large number of times, then the observed probabilities, these probabilities will converge to the theoretical or true probabilities. So this is the main logic behind the law of large numbers. So when we throw a coin a large number of times, so then the observed probabilities or the empirical probabilities, they converge to the theoretical or true probabilities. So let us explain this law of large number with the help of an example. So here I have I am considering the same example, the coin tossing example, and in the coin tossing example the total sample space constitutes of two elements which are head and tail. So let us explain the law of large numbers with the help of an example. So I am going to consider the coin tossing example. So in the coin tossing example, the sample space S constitutes the two elements, the head and tail. So number of sample points here are 2. First one is head, second one is tail. So probability of head is 1 by 2 or 50% if the coin is fair, and probability of tail is also 50% or 1 by 2. So but when we actually throw a coin, say 10 times, we may get 4 times head and 6 times tail. So in this case the probability of head will be 4 out of 10, which is 40% or 0.4. And note that this probability 0.4, it is different from 0.5, which is the theoretical or the true probability of getting an head. And similarly the probability of tail in this case is 6 out of 10, which is 0.6 or 60%, and this is also different from 0.5. So question is, why this is the case? Why we are getting different probabilities? So the answer is that actually we are carrying out two different scenarios. So first one, before the coin tossing, we have in mind that if the coin is fair and has two possibilities, head and tail, so then the probability of both will be same, that is probability of head will be 50% or 0.5, and the probability of tail will also be 50% or 0.5. So these are called the true or theoretical probabilities, and these are in the researcher's mind before throwing the coin. So we can say that true probability of head is 0.5 and true probability of tail is also 0.5. Now consider the second scenario. So after the coin has been tossed, then the probability of head and tail, they are called the observed or empirical probabilities. So these observed or empirical probabilities, they may be different from the theoretical or the true probabilities. So but when the number of trials or when the number of times the coin is tossed increases or becomes very large, so say 1000 times or maybe 5000 times, or even suppose we throw the coin larger than the 5000 times, so then the observed probabilities, they will approach to the true probabilities. So this is called law of large numbers. So when we throw a coin a large number of times, then the observed probabilities, they converge to the theoretical or true probabilities. So let us demonstrate it. So here in the first table we have the theoretical or true probabilities. So probability of head is 0.5 and the probability of tail is also 0.5. And in the second table we have the observed or the empirical probabilities. So in the first column, this is labeled as number of draws or sample size. So here sample size is 5, then 25, then 50, 100, 250, 500, 1000 and 2000. And next column is labeled as probability of head, and third one is labeled as probability of tail. So let us read from the first row. So in the first row the number of draws are 5. So in 5 draws the probability of head is 60%, while the probability of tail is the remaining 40%, which is 0.4. But when the number of draws increases from 5 to 25, then the probability of head, it goes up from 60% to 64%, and the probability of tail, it is the remaining probability, which is 100% minus 64%, which is 36%. So if we keep on increasing the number of draws from 25 to 50, so then the probability of head is 54% and the probability of tail is the remaining 46%. So similarly, when the number of draws increases to 100, so then the probability of head is 0.55 and the probability of tail is 0.45. And similarly, when the number of draws it goes up to 2000, so then the probability of head is 0.5 or 50%, and the probability of tail is also 50%. So from this table we can see that as the number of draws or sample size increases, the probability of head it approaches to 50%, which is the true or theoretical probability when the coin is fair. And similarly, the probability of tail it also approaches to 50%, which is also the true probability or theoretical probability of getting a tail when the coin is fair. So from this we conclude that when the sample size or number of draws increases, the observed probability they converge to the true or theoretical probabilities. So this is called law of large numbers. So let us demonstrate this law of large numbers in our Microsoft Excel spreadsheet program. So here is our Microsoft Excel spreadsheet program. So the theoretical probability of getting an head is 50% or 0.5, and the theoretical probability of getting a tail is also 50% or 0.5. So now let us throw the coin in Microsoft Excel spreadsheet program. So there is a built-in function in MS Excel which is rand between function. So rand between. So here it is asking me to provide two numbers. First one is the bottom limit and next one is the top limit. So 0, 1. So I want to get a random number between 0 and 1. So where 0 and 1 both are included. So this will return a discrete number. So it means this command will return either 0 or 1. So let us say that 0 denotes the tail and 1 denotes head. So it means this command rand between 0 1, it will give us either number 0 or 1, or in other words it will give us the outcome when a coin is tossed. So when the outcome is 0, so we will say that tail appears, and when the outcome is 1, we will say that head appears. So just press enter. So you can see that we get 0. So 0 means first time when the coin is tossed we get a tail. So note that this rand between function it generates a discrete random number. So whenever you make any change in Excel spreadsheet, either by entering something or writing any numerical number, so or by simply pressing the delete button from your keyboard, so this command, the rand between command, it will rerun and you will get a new random number that can be 1 in next time, or it can be 0 again. So here I have written hello. So when I will press 0 enter, so this command rand between will rerun. So you can see that here this 0 is changed to 1. Why? Because this rand between command it reruns and we get another new output of this rand between command. So similarly, suppose I have written 1 2 3, press enter. So you can see that this number 1 remains 1. So it means the next time the newly generated number it returns the same number 1 when we made this change in our Excel spreadsheet. So similarly, you can press the del button from your keyboard. So just take this keyboard cursor to any blank cell and just press the del button. So here you can see that this output is changing from 0 to 1. So 0 1 1 1 0 1 1 0 0 0 0 1 and so on. So I'm just removing these numbers. So first time when we toss the coin we get 0. So just take your mouse cursor to bottom right corner and copy this command downward. so you can simply double click as well. So just double click it. So you can see that first time we get head, next time tail, next time head, tail, and so on. So I have copied this command up to 2000 times. So this means we have tossed the coin 2000 times in our Excel spreadsheet, and every time we get different outcome. So in the 2000th time we get 1, which means a head occurs in the 2000 time. So 199, 1999 we get head, 1998 we get tail, and similarly in the first we get 1, next 0, next 1, 0, and so on. So now what we want to see, we actually want to count the probability of head and the probability of tail. So let us first calculate the probability of getting an head when the coin is tossed 2 times. So here serial number 1, 2 mean the coin is tossed 2 times. So in the first throw we get 1, it means head occurs. In the second throw we get 0, it means tail occurs. So probability of head in the first 2 throws, it is 1 divided by 2, because head occurs 1 times in 2 throws. So now question is how we can calculate the number of heads or probability of getting head in 2 throws by using Excel built-in function. So we can actually use the average function. So average command, average will does what? It will simply add up these 2 numbers, 1 plus 0, the answer is 1, which is the number of times the head appears, and divided by the total number of times the coin is tossed, which is 2 in this case. The same does the average command. So it will add up these 2 numbers. So here in this case we have 1 times 1, and next time we have 0. So the probability of getting a 1 is 1 out of 2, which is 0.5. So it means this average command will do the job for us. So this command, it will give us the probability of head, and this probability of head is called observed or the empirical probability of head. So press enter. So you can see that when the coin is tossed 2 times, the probability of head is 1 out of 2 or 0.5. So this is called observed probability of head. OBS stands for observed, or it is also called empirical probability of getting an head. So now just put a $sign here to the first entry, which is $B, $10. So dollar before the column heading B, and dollar before the row heading, which is 10. So I'm fixing this first entry while leaving the B11 cell as it is. So now you can see that since we have the random numbers in these cells, so these commands, whenever we make any type of change in Excel spreadsheet, we get these commands all are rerun and we get a new output. So now you can see that in the 2 tosses we get 0 head, so 0 out of 2, the probability of head is 0. So now copy this command downward, so just double click it. So now this is the average of these 3 numbers. I have used the $signs to keep this entry fixed. So while leaving the second entry, so it means when you will copy this command downward, so this B11 will change to B12. So now we have 3 numbers selected here. So this is the average of these 3 numbers. So average is again sum of 3 numbers divided by 3. So out of 3 we get only 1 head. So the probability of getting a head in 3 tosses, it is 1 divided by 3. So 1 divided by 3 is 0.33. But here, since the command is rerun, we get a new output. So 0 head out of 3, so probability of head is 0. So similarly here we have $B $10 from this first number to B13. So you can see that B12 changes to B13. So we get the average of 4 numbers. So press enter. So you can see that out of 4 tosses we get 3 heads. So 3 divided by 4 is the probability of getting an head, and 3 by 4 is 75%. So similarly here is the probability of getting 5 heads. So in 5 heads, in 5 throws we get 3 heads. So 3 out of 5, which is 60%. So similarly you can see that here we have the average of 20 numbers from B10 to B29. So it means we have the probability of head 0.7 or 70%. So you can see that these observed probabilities, they are varying. So first it is 100%, 100%, 75, 80%, 83, 85%, 77. So you can see that all these observed probabilities, they are varying, they are getting different numbers. So but when the number of trials, so here sample size is 10. So when the coin is tossed 10 times, the probability of head is 70%. It means the probability of tail is remaining 30%. So similarly when the coin is tossed 50%, so probability of head is 64%. It means the probability of tail is 36%. And you can see that both are different from the theoretical probability, which is 50%. So now you can see that when the coin is tossed 100 times, so now the probability of head is 57%. So you can see that these probabilities, they are getting close to the 50% R, which is theoretical probability. So now move to the 200 times. So you can see that probability of head is 53.5%, which is more close to the 50%. So when the coin is tossed say 500 times, so probability of head is 53.6%. and similarly if we observe the number of heads in 100 tosses, so the probability of head is 51%, which is very close to 50%. So this is the idea of large numbers, that these observed probabilities, they are converging towards the theoretical probabilities, theoretical probability which is 50%, when the number of draws or number of times the coin is tossed, it increases. So and similarly when we increase the coin to 2000 times, you can see that it is the average of B10 to B 2009. So it means it is the average of 2000 numbers, which is now in this case 49.6%. So press del, you get 50.15%, which is very close to the 50%. So again press del from keyboard. Now this time it is 49.7%, which is close to 50%. So this is the main idea behind the law of large number. So let us plot all these observed probabilities. So you just simply select this column, go to insert and go to scatter, select this first option, scatter with only markers, and here is the plot. So just shift this plot, move chart to new sheet. So you can see that when the number of trials, let me increase the font. So on x-axis are provided the number of draws or sample size. So you can see that when the sample size is very small, say 10 to 30, so we have a lot of fluctuations. So you can see that the probability of head when the sample size is 4, it is 0.75 or 75%. So you can see a lot of fluctuations when the number of draws are very small. But when the number of draws they increases from 500 onward, so you can see that the probability of head this approaches to 50%. So this is the main logic behind the law of large number, that when the coin is tossed a large number of times, then the observed probabilities of head as well as of tail, they will converge to the theoretical probability of head and the theoretical probability of tail. So now your turn. So you have to verify the law of large number for the case of a die roll. So here I have provided some hints for you. So when a die is rolled, we have 6 possible outcomes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the probability of getting 1, which is also called theoretical or true probability, it is 1 out of 6 or 16.6%. Similarly, the probability of 2 is also 1 by 6, and 3 has also probability equal to 1 by 6, and 4 1 by 6, and so on. So each of these 6 outcomes, they have the same probability, and which is equal to 1 by 6. So these are called the theoretical or the true probabilities. And remember that these probabilities are in researcher's mind or in experimenter's mind before actually throwing the dice. So here you have to construct the empirical or the observed probabilities. So let us consider 25 draws. So you have to calculate probability of getting 1 when the die is thrown 25 times, and similarly probability of getting 2, probability of getting 3, 4, 5, and 6. So then increase the number of draws to 50. So then calculate the probability of getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and similarly increase the number of draws to 100, then 500, then 1000, and in the die example you have to go up to 5000 or maybe up to 10,000. So these probabilities, probability of getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 when the number of draws are 5000, they should be close to 1 by 6 or 16.6%. So this way you will be able to verify the law of large number. So now let us discuss the discrete probability distributions. Some of the important discrete probability distributions are Bernoulli distribution, and then the binomial distribution, and then Poisson distribution, and then there are certain distributions which are rarely used. They are the hypergeometric distribution, the multinomial distribution, and the negative binomial distribution. In this lecture we will discuss Bernoulli distribution and the binomial distribution in detail. So the concept of Poisson distribution and the next 3 distributions, the hypergeometric, the multinomial, and negative binomial distribution, they will be discussed in our next lecture. So let us start with Bernoulli distribution. So many experiments consist of repeated independent trials, where each trial having only 2 possible complementary outcomes. So for example, the 2 possible outcomes of a trial, they may be head and tail. So you can see that head and tail, they are 2 complementary outcomes. So there is nothing common between the 2. And similarly, the 2 complementary outcomes, they may be success and failure, they may be right and wrong, alive and dead, good and defective, infected or not infected, and so forth. So there are a number of possibilities. So if the probability of each outcome remains the same throughout the trials, then such trials are called Bernoulli trial. So suppose the probability of head is 50% in the first trial, and then in the second trial this probability remains same to 50%. In the next trial, third trial, it remains to 50%. Then we can say that the coin tossing is a Bernoulli trial. So the experiment having n Bernoulli trials is called a binomial experiment. So in other words, an experiment is called a binomial probability experiment if it possesses the following 4 properties. Number 1, the outcome of each trial may be classified into one of the 2 categories. Conventionally, the 2 categories are called the success and the failure. So S is used to represent success and F is used to represent failure. So usually the outcome of interest is called a success, and the outcome in which we are not interested is called a failure. So in the coin tossing example, suppose we are interested in finding the number of heads. So then in this case, the success is the number of heads. So head will be regarded as success, whereas the outcome in which we are not interested, that is tail in this case, and tail will be failure in this case. So next property is that the probability of success denoted by P, it should remain constant for all trials. Number 3, the successive trials are all independent. So trials must be independent of each other. So first trial or outcome of first trial has no impact on the outcome of second trial. And fourth one is the experiment is repeated a fixed number of times, say n. So binomial probability distribution. So when x denotes the number of successes in n trials of a binomial probability experiment, then it is called a binomial random variable. And the probability distribution of a binomial random variable is called binomial probability distribution. So the random variable x can obviously take on any one of the n plus 1 integer values. So it can take either 0 or 1 or 2 and so on up to n. So including 0 from 1 to n, it can take n plus 1 values, and note that all these are integer. So when the binomial random variable x assumes a value small x, the binomial probability distribution is given by probability x equals x. This means that probability that random variable x, capital X, it takes value small x, this is equal to ncx p raised to power x and then q raised to power n minus x, where the x ranges from 0 to n, and here q is 1 minus p, it is the probability of failure on each trial, and where p is called the probability of success. So binomial probability distribution has 2 parameters. First one is called the n, and which is also called the total number of trials, and second one is the p, which is called the probability of success. So generally a binomial probability distribution of random variable x with parameters np, it is written as bx np, or we can also say that this x is a random variable which is distributed as bi for binomial, and within parentheses are its 2 parameters, first is n and second is p. And remember that this tilde sign is used for distributed as. So x is distributed as binomial with parameters n and p. So now let us discuss the cumulative binomial distribution. So cumulative binomial distribution is defined as the probability that random variable x is less than or equal to certain value r, this is equal to summation x ranges from 0 to r, ncx p raised to power x, and then q raised to power n minus x. So you can see that we can expand this summation. So just replace this x by 0 here. So we get nc0 p raised to power 0, q raised to power n minus 0. Then this summation mean plus, replace x by 1. So nc1 p raised to power 1, q raised to power n minus 1. And you have to carry on in the same lines. So then x2 nc2 p raised to power 2, q raised to power n minus 2, and nc3, and you have to go up to this full range, that is up to r. So ncr p raised to power r and q raised to power n minus r. So you can see that probability that x is less than or equal to x means you have to start from the minimum value, that is 0, and you have to go up to this point r. And note that this is what? This is probability that x is 0, this is probability that x is equal to 1, and this last one is probability that x is equal to r. So probability that x is less than or equal to r means you have to add up all the probabilities starting from the minimum number, which is 0, minimum value which the random variable can take, which is 0 in case of binomial distribution, and you have to go up to this limit, which is r. So probability x equals 0 plus probability x equals 1, and so on up to probability x is equal to r. So now let us discuss some examples of binomial distribution. So binomial probability distribution is widely used distribution in two outcomes situation. So let us consider an example. A coin is tossed 5 times. Find the probabilities of obtaining various number of heads. So let us regard the tossing of a coin as an experiment. So then we observe that each toss of a coin, that is each trial, it has two possible outcomes, that is head, which is called success, and tail, which is called a failure. And then also note that the probability of getting an head or success is 1/2, which remains same for all the trials. And similarly, the successive tosses of coin are all independent, and the coin is tossed a fixed number of times. Here it is tossed 5 times. So we can define a random variable x, which denotes the number of heads, successes, and has a binomial distribution with parameters n and p, where p is the probability of head, which is 0.5 or 1/2, and n is the total number of times the coin is tossed, which is 5. So the possible values of x are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 0 mean no head when the coin is tossed 5 times. 1 mean 1 head occurs when the coin is tossed 5 times. 2 mean 2 heads occur when the coin is tossed 5 times, and so on. 5 mean in 5 tosses all times we get an head. So 5 out of 5 heads occur. So now calculate probability of 0 head. So this is probability of no head, that is x takes value 0. So the main formula is probability x is equal to x, which is ncx p raised to power x, q raised to power n minus x. So just replace this x by 0 here, and n is 5, so 5 is 0, and then p is 1/2 raised to power 0, and then q is also 1/2. So because q is equal to 1 minus p, so 1 minus 1/2 is also 1/2. So it is n minus 0, n is 5, x is 0, so 5 minus 0. So 5c0 is 1, anything raised to power 0 is also 1, and we are left with 1 by 2 raised to power 5. So 5 minus 0 is 5, so 1 raised to power 5 is 1, 2 raised to power 5 means we have to multiply 2 5 times, which is 32. So probability of getting no head in 5 tosses is 1 out of 32. And similarly, probability of getting one head, it is probability x equals 1. So just replace this 0 by 1. So 5c1, 1 by 2 raised to power 1, 1 by 2 raised to power 5 minus 1. So you can simplify it in Microsoft Excel as well as in using calculator. So it is 5 over 32. Similarly, probability that x equals 2, it is 5c2, 1 by 2 raised to power 2, and then 1 by 2 raised to power n minus x, so 5 minus 2, which is 10 over 32. So probability of getting 3 heads, probability x equals 3, so 5c3, 1 by 2 raised to power 3, and then 1 by 2 raised to power 5 minus 3, which is equal to 10 over 32. Similarly, probability x equals 4, so 5c4, 1 by 2 raised to power 4, and then 1 by 2 raised to power 5 minus 4, which is 5 by 32. And the probability of getting 5 heads when the coin is tossed 5 times, it is probability that x equals 5, so 5c5, 1 by 2 raised to power 5, and then 1 by 2 raised to power 5 minus 5, which is 1 by 32. So this is how we can calculate probabilities associated with binomial distribution. So now let us consider another example. So let x be a random variable having binomial distribution with n equals 4 and p equals 1 by 3. So question is, calculate probability x equals 1 and then calculate probability x equals 3 by 2 and probability x is less than or equal to 2. So note that here we have the binomial probability distribution with n equals 4 and p equals 1 by 3. So it is probability that random variable x takes value small x, and it is equal to 4cx into p raised to power x. P is 1 by 3, so 1 by 3 raised to power x, and q in this case is 1 minus p, which is 1 minus 1 by 3, which is 2 by 3. So q raised to power or 2 raised to power 3 n minus x, so n is 4, so 4 minus x. And note that the range of x in this case is from 0 to 4. So range usually covers this area. It starts from 0 and go up to this number. So remember that we have discussed previously that it contains n plus 1 integers. So here n is 4, so x can take 5 values, n plus 1 or 4 plus 1, 5. So it starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, and it has to go up to this n, which is 4 in this case. So this is the binomial probability distribution. So using this formula we can calculate probability that x equals to 1. So in order to calculate probability x equals 1, we have to replace this x by 1 in this case. So just replace this x by 1, so 4c1, 1 by 3 raised to power 1, and then 2 by 3 raised to power 4 minus 1. So you can calculate it using your calculator or MS Excel. So the result is 32 over 81. So next part is calculate probability that x equals 3 over 2. So probability that x equals 3 over 2, this is equal to 0. Why it is equal to 0? Because a random variable x having binomial distribution, it can take only the integer values. So integer values mean it can take either 0 or 1, 2, 3 up to n. So it means it cannot take a fractional value or the value which is not an integer. So 3 by 2 is actually 1.5, which is not an integer. So it means probability that x is equal to some non-integer number, it will be 0. So that's why probability that x equals 3 by 2, it is 0. So now move to this last part, which is probability that x is less than or equal to 2. So probability that x is less than or equal to 2 mean we have to calculate the probability up to 2 and less than 2. So it means this is equal to probability that x equal to 0, then plus probability that x equals 1, and then plus probability that x equals 2. Remember that you have to go up to this point, which is 2. So 0 plus 1 plus 2. So you can calculate probability that x equal to 0 by replacing x by 0 in this formula. So 4c 0, 1 by 3 raised to power 0 and 2 by 3 raised to power 4 minus 0. And then calculate probability that x equals 1. So replace x by 1 here. So 4c 1, then 1 by 3 raised to power 1 and 2 by 3 raised to power 4 minus 1. And then replace x by this 2. So 4c 2, and then 1 by 3 raised to power 2 and then 2 by 3 raised to power 4 minus 2. So simplify it. This first is 16 by 81, the second one is 32 over 81, and the third one is 24 over 81. So just take 81 LCM. So just add up these numbers. So we get 72 over 81, or you can cancel both numerator and denominator with 9. So 9 8 the 72, 9 9 the 81. So the probability that x is less than or equal to 2, it is 8 over 9. So now let us discuss some of the properties of binomial distribution. So let x be a random variable with the binomial distribution, that is b, x and p. So then the mean of this random variable x, which follows binomial distribution, it is denoted by mu, and it is equal to np. So where n is the total number of trials and p is the probability of success. And the variance of random variable x, which follows binomial distribution, is denoted by sigma square, and it is n times p times q, npq. And remember that q is 1 minus p. So when p is which is probability of success, it is greater than 50%, then the distribution is negatively skewed. And when p is less than 50%, which is the probability of success, then the distribution is positively skewed. And then when n becomes very large, so then binomial distribution is symmetrical and mesocultic. That is, it becomes the normal distribution, which is the bell-shaped curve. So binomial distribution, it converges to normal distribution when n, the number of trials, it becomes very large. So now let us move to Microsoft Excel in order to calculate the probabilities which are associated with binomial distribution. So if x is a random variable which follows binomial distribution with n equals 4 and p equals 1 by 3 or 0.333, so calculate the following probabilities. Probability that x equals 1, probability that x equals 2, probability that x equals 3, and probability that x is less than 3, and probability that x is greater than 3. So remember that when x follows a binomial distribution, then its probability distribution is probability that x equals small x, it is ncx p raised to power x q raised to power n minus x, where range of x is from 0 to n. So now come to the first part. So we need to calculate probability that x equals 1. So it means we have to replace this small x by 1 here. So ncx, n is 4, so 4c1, then p is 1 by 3, so 1 by 3 raised to power x, so x is 1, and then q is 1 minus p, so 1 minus 1 by 3, which is 2 by 3, so it is n minus x 4 minus 1, so it is 0.39506. So now let us calculate this probability using Microsoft Excel. So let me increase the font. So Excel has a built-in function for binomial distribution, calculating probabilities for the binomial distribution. So it is binom dist. So you can see the Excel tooltip, it is asking us that this command returns the individual term binomial distribution probability. So binom dist, and then the first argument is number underscore s. So this is the value of x. So in this case x is equal to 1, and then comma, and then you have to put the trials. Trials in this case is there are 4 trials, so n is 4. So second argument trials mean value of n. And next is the probability of success. So probability of underscore s means success probability. So it is in this case 1 by 3 or 0.33. So you can write it in either way, either 1/3 or 0.333. And then last one is cumulative. Cumulative mean whether you want to calculate the cumulative probability or you want to get the probability at one fixed point, which is also called the mass function or mass probability. Any probability that x is exactly equal to certain number. So as far as our question is concerned, we need to calculate that probability x is exactly equal to 1. So it means here this cumulative option, it should be written as false. But if you are calculating suppose x is less than or equal to 1, so it means you are considering all the probabilities up to this number, up to value 1. So 1 and less than 1, they all will be included in that case. So in that case you have to write the true. So but currently we need to calculate that probability that random variable x is equal to 1, so you have to use the false option. So this will give us this probability that x equals 1, so the answer should be 0.3950. So press enter, so you can see that 0.395062, which is the same as we have obtained using this formula 32/81. So using Microsoft Excel you can easily calculate probabilities. So let me calculate probability that x equals 2. So binom dist, so 2, number of trials 4, then p 1 by 3, and then false. Press enter, so it is 29.6%. Similarly binom dist 4, probability 1 by 3 and the false option. So in this case it is 1.23%. So now calculate the probability that x equals to 2. So we can again use the binom dist function. So binom dist, so 2, then the total number of trials, which is n, 4, probability of success 1 by 3, and instead of cumulative you have to write false. Press enter, so it is 29.6%. And next probability that x equals to 4, so binom dist 4, number of trials 4, probability success 1 by 3, and false. Press enter. So it is 1.23%. So now look at this next case. It is probability that x is less than 3. So probability that x is less than 3, so this means that probability that x is less than or equal to 2. So in order to calculate this probability, we need to it is actually asking us to calculate the cumulative probability. So up to 2 and less than 2, all the probability or sum of all the probabilities. So we can again use the binom dist function. So binom dist number 2 and then trials 4, probability success 1 by 3, and here in cumulative you have to write true. That's it. So this true will do the job for you. So it will calculate the probability that x is less than 3, or which is same as probability that x is less than or equal to 2, and it is equal to probability that x equals 0 plus probability that x equals 1 plus probability that x equals 2. So just press enter. So the required probability is 88.88%. So next question is probability that x is greater than 4. So you can see that x is greater than 4. So it means 1 minus probability x is less than or equal to 4. So 1 minus less than or equal to 4, so it means this should be 1 minus binom dist 4, then total trials 4, p probability of success 1 by 3, and here we have to use the true option. So binom dist 4 4 1 by 3 true, press enter. So it is equal to 0. So probability that x is greater than 4 is 0, because 4 is the total number of trials. So probability that x is greater than 4, so 4 this cannot occur, so its probability is 0. So this is how we can use the binom dist function to calculate the probabilities which are associated with binomial random variable. So let us review the main concepts which we have discussed in today's lecture. In today's lecture we have discussed law of large numbers, and then we have discussed probability distribution of a discrete random variable, and then in particular we discussed the binomial distribution, its properties, and some of the related examples. So in next lecture we will study some more examples of binomial distribution using Microsoft Excel, and then we will move to the Poisson probability distribution, and we will also discuss some of the related examples of Poisson probability distribution. So we will also try to discuss hypergeometric distribution, the multinomial distribution, and the negative binomial distribution. But we will not discuss the last three distributions in detail. So in our next lecture we will discuss in detail the Poisson probability distribution, but we will give you an idea of hypergeometric distribution, multinomial, and negative binomial distribution, that in which situations we can use these distributions. So till then, Allah Hafiz.